Hey, what's going on, guys? We're back with another edition of the 0 Hour, episode 7. And this is our second time coming to you this week. It's fight week for Aries Fight Series 2. It goes down this Friday night, November the 5th, from the world famous Cotton Eye Joe. And we're excited to do another breakdown here this week. And I'm joined by our usual cast of characters: Justin Watson, Mike Hunt, actually. It's Greg Hopkins. I don't know. It's Alias here tonight. Jeff Hobbs, Punisher Torres Finney, Champ. Guys, it's been a busy week here. We've already knocked out the breakdown for Aries 1. Make sure you go back and check that out in episode 6 if you haven't already. And while you're at it, if you would give us a like and a subscribe, that'd be great. Help us grow the channel, and you'll get subscribed. If you subscribe, then you'll get a notification every time that we post content, including the fights here. So we're just, under 30 days now at this point, where you'll be getting all the fights from Aries 1 posted here on the channel. So make sure you subscribe, and you'll get notifications when they go up. Today, though, we've got 2 rounds. We're going to look into the second UFC pay-per-view in a row that we've got. UFC 268 this week from New York. Big card, stacked card, man. This is a solid offering here. And then, of course, we'll give you guys our locks of the week. And then we'll round out the show by doing a breakdown of this weekend's Aries Fight Series 2. You can catch that on combatcast.tv. Get your tickets at fightertix.com. Guys, let's dive into it. Is an update, if you will, as far as where we stand going into this week on our lock pick. Greg Hopkins, 3-0 thus far. If you've been tailing Greg, you're up 3.15 units. Pretty solid. Myself, also 3-0. I've been playing it safer, up 1.33 units. That's kind of how I am in real life, too. We just grind away. Then we've got Justin 2-1. He's up 0.13 units, still ahead. Torres 1-1, down just a little bit, 0.34 units. Jeff Hobbs, at this point, I don't know what to say. 0-3, down 3 units. And I'm going to let him go first tonight, so he can maybe break that mojo. This is a solid card, guys. This is a legit worthy pay-per-view. We got 2 title fights. With Usman and Covington and Rose and Wiley Zhang. And then, of course, Justin Gaethje, Michael Chandler could be its own pay-per-view main event. So I'm excited to dive into it. Jeff, you've got to play, it looks like, on some low-level heavyweights. It's dangerous sledding on low-level heavyweights. John Vellante takes on Chris Barnett. John Vellante minus 120. Chris Beast Boy Barnett, who you know for your XFC days, plus 100. Jeff, what is the lock of the week in this heavyweight fight? Woo-wee! I would tread lightly on picking low-level heavyweight fights. Go for it.
No, because I know Chris Barnett sucks, man. I don't have to tread lightly. I'm sorry, man. Like, the dude he's been around, God bless, for so long. I never understood why right now was the time he was picked up, not 10 years ago. He's kind of, piddled around, the country in these low-level fights, and then he falls off the face of the earth, and you don't see him for years, and then just pops out of nowhere again and gets picked up. He was picked up, obviously, and surely just on short notice availability, that first debut fight, and I just don't see things getting better for him, man. It's not even necessarily that I feel anything strongly on Vellante as much as I feel strongly against Chris Barnett in this fight. So I'm just taking just straight up money line Vellante over Barnett.
And of course, Vellante minus 120 there. So you got a chance to get back a decent little bit of what you're down. We'll move on to Justin next. You got to play here on Ian Gary, the Irishman, pretty big favorite, minus 385 over Jordan Williams, plus 295. You're looking for a prop action here, yep.
Yeah, I'm gonna take Ian Gary inside the distance. Ian Gary's kind of the next big thing coming out of Ireland. He's left his camp there. He was with a smaller gym there, and now he's been with Sanford MMA for a little bit. He's 6'3", welterweight, long, rangy, 7-0, young kid, 23 years old. His opponent, Jordan Williams, we haven't seen all that much out of him. He choked a guy out, I think, that was trying to steal his car once, but that's about the best I've seen out of him. So I think Ian Gary's getting the push here, so I like him inside the distance.
Now that is minus 170, a much better price than minus 385. That's for sure. So I like that. I like that play as well. Ian Gary inside the distance, minus 170 for Justin. We're going to go to Greg next. Greg, you didn't actually tell me ahead what we're working on here. What you got here? Greg is the one you want to follow right now. 3-0, up over 3 units. He's making on average more than a unit a week.
I don't know that you do follow me this week because I told you before we started I wanted to do some kind of degenerate thing. And I was just wondering if I could just take everything that I had in the pot right now and just throw that all on Usman at the end of the night and try to come up 1 unit for the week.
You may not. You may play one. You may play 1 unit.
Well, then we're going to go with Ali Aquinta at plus. I think it was 145 for 1 unit.
I like that. All right. Any reason why here on Ali Aquinta? I like it myself. Plus 145. I would certainly take a stab at that.
I mean, he went 5 rounds with. He went 5 rounds with. Who was that guy? That guy that used to fight. He retired. Yeah, it could be whatever his name was.
Yeah, that guy.
Yeah, he went 5 rounds with him. So I just think that he's like maybe not head and shoulders above the rest of the division at all. But I think he's really competitive. He's a veteran of the game. I don't know. I like the value plus money on Ali Aquinta. That's the only reason I'm taking him.
I can dig it for sure. For my play, I am going to go with the over 2.5 rounds on Frankie Edgar and Marlon Vera. Both these guys very tough to put away. Frankie potentially can hit that grinding style where he can hit the takedowns, kind of grind away some rounds. That's minus 170. Over 2.5 rounds, I'm going for my lock of the week, minus 170 on Edgar Vera. That'll leave us with Torres. You've got to play on one of the big 3 here, the feature bout, Gaethje and Chandler.
Yes, I see that Justin Gaethje is the favorite. The great thing about it is this fight will start off the show. Justin Gaethje versus Michael Chandler is the first fight on the pay-per-view. Trevor Whitman said he wants his fighters spaced out. Because he said he doesn't want them going back to back to back. So he wants all his fighters spaced out a little bit. And to start off the pay-per-view will be Gaethje and Chandler. And
not a bad idea.
Yeah, not a bad idea. I think that's a great way to start it off. And Chandler himself said, whoever comes out to the middle, man, first one that backs up is a B. And I feel like, man, these 2 guys going forward, 2 basically pit bulls going at it. Gaethje, He's not going to back down, but neither is Chandler, man. I'm going to go with Chandler, man. I'm going with Chandler by TKO. Since it's a 3-round fight, I feel like Chandler can find a way to win by decision. I think he can outpoint him in a certain way. Justin Gaethje do have a really good pace, but I think sometimes Gaethje is starting to fight smarter. He's a much smarter fighter than when he fought, a few years ago. So it's still a tough fight, but I feel like Michael Chandler fight IQ is really high, and I think he's just not going to put himself in certain predicaments that's going to really hurt him. Chandler does get in brawl situations, but I feel like he's more he's smart about which brawls he takes. He was literally a few strikes away from being the world champion. So I feel like he is on that level, and I do think he will be Justin Gaethje, TKO.
Well, don't look now, but Michael Chandler by TKO is plus 460. Plus 460 is a real nice pay comeback on that. And if Torres actually hits this one, he would actually bypass Greg next week as the leader on this one play. And I actually like it. I would have to take a shot plus 460. No doubt. That's a really nice spot. I like that play, Torres. Before we move on to the preview for Aries, anybody got any hot takes on the 2 title fights? I guess we should at least touch on it real quick. I'm not really going to go around the horn, but if anybody has anything, I'll let them just pipe in on this. Rose Namajunas and Wiley Zhang is pretty much a pick 'em. Zhang is just a so slight favorite, minus 120. Rose is even money. Anybody got to play here?
I think there's a lot of value on Rose there. Rose ended the first fight with a nice head kick, and Wiley Zhang, I don't know, she just seems like she's a little bit timid out there now. So I think it's crazy good odds for to take Rose there.
The main event. Somebody else got anything?
No, I was just gonna say the main event, but yeah.
Yeah. Main event. Usman is minus 325. Colby Covington comes back at plus 250. I think it's hard to play anything against Usman here, but the price is not so nice at minus 350. I think you got to figure out how he gets it done. Greg, what you think?
Well, I wanted my lock of the week to be Usman just to win straight up, but I think that it probably goes the distance. I'd say Usman by decision would probably be I don't even know what the odds are on that, but I'm probably be fairly. I'm going to be under minus 150. I'm sure, but if it's better than that, I take it.
Anybody else got anything on this main event?
I think Usman goes for the finish in this one. I think Usman he might utilize his wrestling. One of these guys going to utilize their wrestling. I know they didn't do it the first matchup. There was a lot of hate between them, but I think this is more strategic on their game plan and their fight style. I think somebody's going to get taken down in this one. Don't know who it's going to be, but somebody's going for a takedown. But I feel like Usman is going to finish this one. I feel like it's going to be finished before the third round. I don't know.
Usman by decision is plus 175. Usman by finish of any kind is plus 130. So either way you take it, you can get plus money on it, which is nice, better than minus 350. That's for sure. Go ahead.
I'm not just. It seems like Usman's really not like just a huge finisher. I mean, he's got 9 finishes in his whole career. I'm sorry, he's got 10 finishes. He's got 1 submission. And then 9 knockouts. But, I mean, he's got 11 decisions, too. And just against a high-caliber fighter as good as Colby Covington, he got his jaw broken last time. I don't know if he gets him finished and out of there this time. I think that Colby will be well more – I don't know, man. I mean, 400 plus – wait, your lock earlier plus 400. I'm going to throw some on that. But I think this one goes to decision. That's something –
he did finish Colby Covington the last time. Then he finished Gilbert Burns and then Jorge Masvidal the second time. So,
bad. Finished Masvidal bad.
I was about to say 3 out of his last 4 fights have come by finishes for Usman. So, and all of them come from striking. Usman is known for being a wrestler. His last 3 finishes have all been coming.
Yeah, his striking's really came along, and he's a legit striker now. It's nuts.
Well, before we get off the segment, I just wanted to state that my name has officially been changed to Gregory. It was Mike Hunt. I don't know. I guess it's going to change throughout the show. I started out as D's Nuts, but I don't know what happened after that.
All right, guys, we're going to go to a break. Hit a commercial real quick. When we come back, it's Aries Fight Series 2 breakdown. We'll be right back.
American Roofing Company is a licensed public adjuster, general contractor, and roofing company here in Chattanooga, Tennessee. We've been here for over 10 years. We are able to get you a next day roof right after insurance has approved it. That's what we did here at Mr. Durkovich's house. Got his roof approved for insurance, and we were able to negotiate his claim with his insurance provider. Right now, for this catastrophe, we're doing free tarpings and free inspections. Give us a shout today, and we'll be able to get you the roof you deserve. Remember, American Roofing Company has you covered.
All right, guys, we're back. 0 Hour, episode 7, getting ready to do the preview for Aries Fight Series 2. This will be from the world famous Cotton Eye Joe all amateur card. We're going to crown our first ever 170 champion in our main event, and that's exciting. After we just crowned our first champion of all, Torres Finney, our very own, down here at 185. So we're going to get into this, guys. This will be on combatcast.tv. And before we get into it, Greg, hit us up with the promo code from our sponsors. They will have and also tell them about the you can't gamble on the sponsors, but they will have a free-to-play game, a pick 6 game on the top 6 fights. Tell them about it.
All right, so it's Cock Diesel, but if you go to action247.com, you can get your first your first deposit of 100% match bonus up to $400. Come in with $800. You can have the sixth team or the sixth guy. If you get all six of them, you get $250 of free play. Other than that, man, you guys get out there. There's no betting on the Amies other than that free play. So guys, get out there and put it on there. Before we get into that, Tim, do you mind if we go through the fastest knockout of the area? Like I've got them all labeled and ready to go.
Yeah, that's one thing that we're going to start doing, guys. Especially after we get past this event this week, we'll have a couple events of data, and we're going to start doing a ranking system here, and we'll release it here on the 0 Hour podcast. We'll update it here. We'll go through our criteria for who's ranked where and how you move up, and I'm excited to do that. But we're also going to keep records, and as this last show is our first ever show, it's the perfect time to kind of start keeping up with this stuff. So yeah, Greg, give us the rundown after Aries won the current record holders, and these records are subject to be broken at any time.
Oh, absolutely. I know they're probably going to get broken this weekend going into Aries 2 right here. But the fastest knockout for the amateur ranking is Spencer Kistner, 1 minute 20 seconds over Nathan Akers, and then the fastest sub of the night was not Torres Finney. It was Anton Brown with a 46-second rear naked choke over Jonathan Flores.
And
in the that was a TKO for some reason.
No, it was a sleeper hold. He had him in a standing sleeper hold like Brutus Beefcake, and then he fell down. He tapped.
That's right.
And then in the professional rankings, fastest sub, of course, David Robbins. Still going to be hard to beat. 1 minute and 27 seconds over Cord Delaney. And then we have that didn't go to the second round. That's the first round, right?
That's first round, yeah.
That's first round. And then, of course, fastest KO, going to be also really hard to beat. 14 seconds with Dimitri Miller over Logan Neal in the main event there. So
that one may stay for a while.
Yeah, it probably will. And we also have in the rankings for the run fight of the year right now, amateurs, Tristan versus Kato. Kanto. I'm sorry. I got it written down as Kato right here. It's Kanto. I'm so sorry. Hell of a fight right there. And then a walkout of the year so far. We've seen it before, but Brevin Sullivan with the PIP song with Michael Myers out there. That's so far a walkout material. And that's all we got is for the stats right now.
Yeah, so after this weekend, we'll compile, start compiling more stats and start hopefully by that time we're able to start maybe getting to a top 5, and then we'll have some rankings and I like organization. I think Jeff loves organization, so this is and I think fighters just kind of like to see where they stand in the pecking order as well. So that's something cool that we'll do. Again, make sure you check out the free to play game. It doesn't cost you anything. And if you pick all 6 of our top 6 fights, which we're going to talk about here right now, you get a $250 free play, which you could put towards one of our locks of the week the very next day. So why not?
Or just fade Jeff.
Or just fade Jeff right now, if you want Chris Barnett on the fade of Jeff, then you can get him at even money. All right, guys. Justin, I'll hand it over to you from here to kind of do the is there a fire?
Burning the biscuits.
I think Torres is burning the house down.
The cornbread's burning.
We don't need no water. Let that mother.
All right, Justin, I'll let you kind of lead the festivities here, and we'll let's get into this thing. Again, this is Friday night, and this is all going to be kind of broken up by our ring girl contest. Don't forget, $1,000 ring girl contest going down, and so it's going to be a fun night at the Joe. We get started at 6 o'clock. Let's do it, Justin.
All right, first up, we have catch weight 165 pounds, combat BJJ, 1 10-minute round, Dan Garrett out of DC Combat in Murphy, North Carolina, taking on Mac Payne out of Agogi Combatives in Chattanooga, Tennessee. So
we'll start with some slap grappling. That's always a little something to get the crowd warmed up here. And, this is these are two guys on the opposite ends of the age spectrum from what we'll see typically. We've got Dan Garrett. It's Dustin Garrett's daddy. We've seen him fight in there already. I think he's 1-1 as an MMA fighter. This will be the first time we've seen him do slap grappling. In hell of shape for to be 50. Was he 52? I think Jeff. It's something like that. But Yeah, but he's in stellar condition. You can tell he's got some wrestling background. Taking on young Mac Payne, who, without a doubt, has the best natural fighter name on the card. Who needs a nickname when your name's Mac Payne? He's a young buck, though, and he's coming out of a Gogi. We've seen him on the Hyder Cup before. Greg, we'll let you expound on this one a little bit. You know both these guys.
Well, this is like Kryptonite versus Superman right here. You got the old goat muscle, and Garrett over here, and a huge fan of wrestling. I am. I love Mac Payne, man. How old is he now, Torres? He 19.
Mac, it just turned 20.
He just turned 20.
I don't know how
so
he's made it to 20, but
I don't know how he's at to 20 either. This guy, he lives, eats, breathes, shits, and probably fucks jiu-jitsu all the time. He's always watching look at Torres, knows what I'm talking about, man. You could sit there and point. What does he say? Like the things that he says whenever he's like, you have to contort your foot. What is he just like proper? But anyways, yes, this is an excellent matchup. I'm excited for it because the wrestling of Garrett is definitely going to like contradict the jiu-jitsu of Mac Payne. And Mac Payne, and Torres will tell you this, in the last 2 years has gotten so much bigger because he's been working out so hard and he's been training constantly and he's devoted a lot of time to jiu-jitsu. I've never got to train with Mac with slapping jiu-jitsu, but I know that it's going to be new to him. I know that he's trained hard for it. And I know that I look to see, I don't know, can this fight end in a draw?
Yeah, if we don't get a submission after 10 minutes, I guess we could do EBI. There's nothing to stop us from it. So shit, yeah, we'll do EBI after.
Can do whatever the fuck we want.
That's right.
Hell yeah. Well, with that being said, if it's total jiu-jitsu with some slaps in there, I gotta think that Mac Payne's gonna be able to edge out a dub over unless he can hook a heel hook or straight ankle or something. He's a great leg locker, but I do think that Garrett's going to counter that with his wrestling. It's just going to be a good match. That's what I was saying. It could be a draw, but if we're going to go into overtime rules, I'll go with Mac.
All right. Next up, bout number 2, lightweights, 155 pounds, MMA. Bud Cook, 0-13, independent out of Wilmington, North Carolina, taking on Patrick Taylor, a debut independent out of Maryville, Tennessee.
Yeah, so this is our opening prelim actual fight. Don't know what to expect out of Patrick Taylor. He's a buddy of James Arden down in Maryville. James, good dude, tough guy. James probably toughest 0-3 guy I've ever ran across. Honestly, that guy's always brings it. But this is his buddy. He's never competed before. James is kind of helping him get ready for this. I don't know what to expect at all. Bud Cook, we've seen many times. And Bud is looking for that first win. This will be his 14th attempt at an MMA win, and I think this one may be within his range. We'll see how it goes. I think no matter what, this will be a pretty entertaining scrap, if you will. Harry Ballsack, I'm going to go to you again.
Alrighty. See, Bud Cook just coming here 0-13. Always starts his fights off really good. He comes out firing, like a spark plug. But at this point in time, I love Bud Cook. We love having him around. I always still like watching him. I'm always I'm a fan of Bud Cook. I don't care if that O is right there. But until he does get some kind of win there, I just have to fade him, man. And I think that Patrick Taylor is coming out of independent, and he's an independent from Maryville, but he's he's been training with
James Arden.
With James Arden, yeah. So if he's training with James Arden's a tough cookie, man. And I gotta go, and I think the size difference there with Bud Cook and Patrick Taylor is going to be a huge deal. I gotta go with Patrick Taylor, making his debut.
Next up, lightweight Muay Thai fight, 155 pounds. 3 2-minute rounds. Dustin Cruz, debut out of Somerset Martial Arts in Somerset, Kentucky, taking on Harrison Raymond, a debut out of Shield Systems in Knoxville, Tennessee.
So we don't have a whole lot on these guys. Of course, Harrison Raymond coming from Shield Systems in Knoxville, solid team, man. Just if they're coming out of Shield Systems, they're going to be prepared. They're going to be ready. Trained by Ben Harrison there, Scott Holtzman, Amy Coleman, a lot of killers over there, Damir Fropagovich over there. This will be his first time going out there, though. Only 19 years old, 6'1", so he's a pretty tall, rangy 155. It appears that he has some. He's a blue belt in BJJ. He wrestled state qualifier as a wrestler, but this is a Muay Thai fight, so I don't know that stuff's going to do him a whole lot of good there as he takes on the Justin Cruz, who's 39 years old, 5'10", out of Ian Lawler's Somerset Martial Arts Academy there in Somerset, Kentucky. This will be his first time kickboxing. However, he does have a 1-1 MMA record that he fought 2 or 3 years ago. So, it looks like two kind of rangy guys at 155. One guy just beginning his career at 19 years old, and the other guy a bit longer in the tooth, a little bit more experience coming out of Ian Lawler's team. Jeff, what's your thoughts on this Muay Thai fight?
Muay Thai. We talk about it all the time. I think the reason why we bring it up all the time is because we don't see gyms that do it quite like Shield Systems does. As a matchmaker, Tim, Shield Systems will not put somebody in a cage or a ring until they're ready. They just do not have a history of putting people out there. Because you've tried, and they will flat out tell you, not yet. Not yet. I know you want him. Not yet. He's not ready. So we always fall back on, if Ben Harrison is ready for him to go in there, then, he's probably not going to have those typical debut, performance or jitters. So Hishma, we remember his first time out, how beyond his, years and obviously record he looked. And if he's cut from that same cloth, I can't help but think, this kid may be, maybe it cut from the same cloth, just beyond his years and probably have the edge. We know he's going to have the youth advantage on him. Now there is something to be said for man strength. So, that may be something he's got to deal with, but this, like you said, this is not an MMA fight. So he's not really going to get his hands on him to be able to utilize that. 3-second clinch is all he's going to be able to put his hands on him for. So, it should be interesting. I think the biggest factor when you're looking at this fight will probably be age, not necessarily the skill, but the young lion and the old bull here. I'm staying away from picking anybody. I think, we've discussed that. It's probably not the best thing in the world to do. So I'm just going to explain that I think this should be a good fight. Young guy versus, like you said, kind of the older gent, and we'll see what happens.
All right. Back to MMA, 165-pound catch weight. Brian Hurlbert, a debut independent out of Wilmington, North Carolina, taking on Caleb Holt, 0-3, independent out of Knoxville, Tennessee.
All right. So this is our last prelim here, and we've got Brian Hurlbert, who is his first MMA fight, but he did take a Muay Thai fight on short notice a few months back. Troy Williams was supposed to fight this dude. I can't remember the guy's name at this point. He's so inconsequential, but he flaked at the last minute, and Troy Williams, we couldn't get anybody to fight him. And so Brian Hurlbert, who was there with Bud Cook, to corner Bud Cook, stepped in there and kickboxed him. And it ended up going, crazily enough, to the second round, from what I gather. Eventually, he took too much damage there from Troy Williams from Hobbs Jackson Wink, who really tough fighter. And he went away there in the second round. But this will be his first time to actually prepare for a fight in advance. This will be his first MMA fight. And, the opponent here, Caleb Holt, we know very well. Caleb 0-3 so far, no wins, been in there pretty tough. Fought Lee Radford. He's fought Chris Kinnett, and then he had one more. I can't remember what his third one was.
Michael Sullivan.
Yeah, okay. So 0-3 for Caleb Holt, but a pretty tough strength of schedule for him. He'll be dropping down to 165 now. He's been fighting as heavy as like 205 and 185. So this weight will suit him much more. Caleb helps us on the cage crew. He helps us on the camera operator stuff. So I know after seeing him at the show last week, he definitely looked like he had slimmed down and was really excited for this fight, and looking to try to get that first win. Torres will go to you on this one, I believe, but man, this is one where I definitely think they're going to be slanging them things.
Yeah, man. This fight is gonna be one where you won't see much ground game in this one. I'm excited to see Caleb, him coming back. Caleb's had a full camp. He said he cutting weight. He's been doing a lot of training, so I'm excited to see this version of Caleb coming into the cage, man. And yes, he had some tough outings against some tough oppositions, but now I think him coming into the cage, a little bit of a better matchup for himself. I feel that Caleb is going to show more of his skills in this one per se. I feel like you've had to deal with a lot of grapplers, but now I don't think he's necessarily have to deal with a grappler in this one. Didn't he not too long ago? Didn't he do a combat jiu-jitsu?
Yeah, he did against Taylor Burton. Yep.
Taylor Burton. Yeah. So I don't think he has to necessarily worry about the ground game in this one too much. I think this one will be all on the feet, and I think Caleb will edge this one out. So it's going to be a good one. I'm excited.
All right. Next up, we have light heavyweights, 205 pounds. Shaka Burney, debut out of Team Mock in Lakeland, Florida, taking on Josh Booker, a debut out of Agogi Combatives in Chattanooga, Tennessee.
So we've got debut 205s here. Don't have a whole lot of information on these guys beyond their team. Shaka Burney's a debut. Looks like 32 years old, 6 foot tall, coming all the way up from Lakeland, Florida. And this will be his first step into the cage. So I don't really have a whole lot more other than that. Looks like he's a big dude. He's taking on Joshua Booker out of Agogi Combatives, and so we'll go to Greg on this one. Hopefully, get a little bit more information there. But Booker is a debut, 6'2". Looks like he's got some wrestling since he's a state runner-up. And I'll go to you, Greg, to kind of give us a little more insight on this one. Booker and Burney.
Burney. It's a question mark for me. I don't know nothing about him. I know if he's coming out of Florida all the way up here to fight, he's obviously coming correct to win. I mean, he ain't gonna make that trip, Buster Cherry. He's not gonna make that trip. So, especially coming out of Lakeland, Florida, I know there's a lot of athletes come out of Lakeland, Florida, down there. I'm in the Georgia-Florida line, and but I know Josh Booker. I've trained with him. He's a scrappy one. He is a big guy. These are two big guys. They will be throwing them things. Somebody's gonna go face first into the canvas on this one right here. I don't with not knowing nothing about Shaka. I don't know. I mean, I know what Josh has to offer, and I know he's a scrapper. He's got a good wall working kind of game. Shaka Burney, I'm looking for an explosive first round right here, and I don't know if it gets out of the first.
Next up, middleweights, 185 pounds. Patrick Brown, a debut out of Venable Combat in Middlesboro, Kentucky, taking on Andrew Murr, a debut out of an independent out of Greenville, Tennessee.
Yeah, I know even less about this one, guys. It looks like it's going to be a pretty fun fight. Anytime you get middleweights, especially green middleweights, they're probably going to put on a good show. Patrick Brown is out of, as Justin mentioned, Venable Combat, Middlesboro, Kentucky. So he's trained by Blake Venable and Ben Rowland. If you guys know Big Ben Rowland, that's another one of the trainers there. It's his first time out, 29 years old, 5'10", taking on Andrew Murr. Now, Andrew Murr is coming into this as an independent fighter. However, he does train over at Gamma in Greenville. So he's with guys like Dale Dodds, Brandon McGee, just hasn't quite, trained enough to have the gym tag on him here. 24 years old, 5'10". He did wrestle in high school, doesn't list any accolades as far as, advanced placements or anything in that, but does have a wrestling background. Torres, make of this what you will.
Doing a little research on some of them. It's really hard to find much on them.
Yeah.
I do know of the Venable guy a little bit. I'm not gonna say I know him. I've seen that he do some jiu-jitsu, so he has that with him. I'm gonna pick the guy that at least trains in the gym. I know that you said Murr does train a little bit with those guys down there in Greenville, but I just don't feel like it probably has been consistent enough as to where Blake has been consistently training. So I'm going to go with the guy that, with the gym, a little bit more pedigree behind him, but I expected it to be a throwdown, man. This should be a really fun fight.
Next, we have bantamweights, 135 pounds. Michael Miller, debut out of Independent MMA in Newman, Georgia, taking on Kobe Ford, 1-0 out of Agogi Combatives in Chattanooga, Tennessee.
This one should be fun. So Kobe Ford, we saw make his debut back in the spring, I believe it was. He was fighting as an independent at that time, but was beginning to train some with Agogi, just similar to the fight we just talked about, just not quite enough at that point yet to have the team tag behind him, if you will. They were in his corner, but now it looks like he's trained enough to get that Agogi name on him. Comes in 1-0, got a very quick submission over Peyton Newton, and man, I don't know. I don't want to quote it, but it felt like it was sub 20 seconds. It wasn't long at all. Just kind of muscled the choke on there and got a win over Uten, who is a purple belt, maybe, I think. And so it was a pretty nice little win for Kobe Ford. He'll be taking on Michael Miller out of Independent MMA and Fitness. That's Doug Usher's group out of Noonan, Georgia. It's another chapter in that Independent MMA versus Agogi small little rivalry brewing here. So we've seen that happen a lot here as of late. And looking at Michael Miller, I don't have just a ton of information on him. He does appear to be a taller, rangier guy. He's a white belt. Doug says he's a green debut amateur. So we'll see what happens. But I think there'll be a little extra kind of motivation to get the win for their squad here. What do you think, Jeff?
Yeah, I think that's where all the motivation comes from right here is not wanting to lose to the other team, not necessarily the win, but not wanting to lose to the other team. We're building quite a few little rivalries like this between, you know what, that should be for Greg. One of those other kind of stats that we keep up with is team records against other team records for some of these, schools and teams that face each other quite often. That would be a nice little addition to the stat book is what one team's record is against another. But, Kobe's motivation last time he was out, like I said, it was an impressive win. His motivation last time out, I think, was to impress his corner enough to earn, like you said, that Agogi name. And I think now that he's got that that patch on his gi, if you will, I think now his motivation is to show his value more than anything. Like I said, his first outing against Uten, would have never guessed it. I really thought had I been able to bet on that one, I would have taken Uten all day. So it's pretty damn impressive. But, that independent MMA staff down there, they're tough. They're always tough. So I imagine this could be kind of a sleeper fight right here on the card.
All right, moving on, we go to a catchweight bout, 130 pounds. Cody Ortiz debut out of Stryker Fight Center in Kennesaw, Georgia, taking on Vincent Van Alstyne, 1-0 out of Hobbs Jackson Wink in Concord, North Carolina.
This should be a fun little fight. This appears to be striker versus grappler. You've got Cody Ortiz, only 19 years old, coming out of Stryker Fight Center there in Kennesaw, Georgia. His teammate Quentin Milton just put on a nice show this past weekend and got the win. And now Cody does come in with an 0-1 kickboxing record, but his one fight in kickboxing was against Blake Spence, who is very, very, very good from Upstate Karate. So no shame there. A tough a trial by fire in his in-ring debut, but this will be his MMA debut, taking on Vincent Van Alstyne, a guy that we were pretty high on after his debut. Takes out Ray Hewlett pretty quickly in his debut, a guy that had a lot more fights than him, and he took him out of there by submission fairly quickly. 1-0 out of Hobbs Jackson Wink in Concord, North Carolina, and Vincent is 22 years old, 5'4". He's a wee fellow, but he is a very good grappler, blue belt in the BJJ, just an exciting young man. Also 2-0 in kickboxing himself, though. And so, this at 130, we're working our way down to 125. It looks like, Jeff.
Finally going to get to 125. It looks like before long. He proclaimed that that's where he should be, and we keep inching our way down there. Had a really good interview too. If anybody wants to look back through the vast archives of the 0 hour and find that Van Alstyne interview. It's a pretty good time sitting down and talking with him. But he's one of the Van Alstyne to me is just one of these really impressive young kids that are in the infancy of their MMA amateur MMA careers, and I expect we're going to see something different different out of him, because he looks like one of those kids also that grows each time. You know, I know he trains hard and it grows and looks different every time we see him. But the Striker Fight Center kids, man, they're just as game as anybody on the scene. And like you said, that kickboxing bout against what's his name again?
Blake Spence.
Blake Spence, yeah, Blake Spence. Like you said, that is no small feat for a young man stepping in there for the first time. So I'll be interested in see how he works with within the confines of MMA rules. So again, this is another one of these. Just you look up and down this card in particular, a lot of debuts, a lot of new 0-1, 1-0 kids. Man, this is where we're going to see the future. We're going to be back here in a year from now, and these are the guys that that are probably going to be doing something special when we come back next November and talk about some of these guys.
All right, next up we have a catch weight 160 pounds. George Lomos, 0-1 out of the UFC gym in Murfreesboro, Tennessee, taking on Dustin Bailey, a debut out of Agogi Combatives in Chattanooga.
So we saw George Lomas in his debut. It may have been the very last show, or maybe the show before that. He fought at 170, and he was outsized at 170, but showed a lot of grit and toughness. He ended up losing a decision, but hung very tough in there. And from what I recall, was starting to kind of come back a little bit late in the fight as his opponent was starting to fade a little bit. But now dropping down, this fight was going to be at 55. Now it's going to be 160. Still a smaller opponent for him than he faced the first time. So it'll be interesting to see. He's coming out of UFC gym Murfreesboro. Like I said, very just tough, durable cat. He's taking on Dustin Bailey, who I don't know much about. 21 years old, 5'7" out of Agogi Combatives. He's a debut. And that's all I know. So I'm going to go to his teammate, Buster Cherry, up here and see if he can help us out on this one.
Yes. I know that Lamas had that cast iron chin. He had that that big heart, and he didn't want to quit. I know that goes a long way in MMA, and now he's got a little bit better size of fight with Dustin Bailey, who probably I think eventually could make 145 if he really made a run for it. He's got some good wrestling. He's had some good scuffs with Spencer Kistner in the practice room. Him and Brivin go at it frequently. He's down to fight anybody in the damn building all the time. So this right here is going to be what would JR say, a slobber knocker right here. It could be a Dustin Bailey take him down kind of thing, and maybe get a ground and pound finish. But if it stands, I don't know if he can knock Lamas out. So he could get tired of beating on him too, and we could see Lamas come back in the third. But that's one that I'll be paying attention to. I'm excited to see the debut of Bailey.
All right, next up we have welterweights, 170 pounds. Eli Wilson making his debut out of Upstate Karate in Simpsonville, South Carolina, taking on Dylan Bowell, also making his debut out of Juggernaut Boxing in Florence, Kentucky.
So these guys I'm expecting quite a bit out of, actually. For debuts, I'm expecting these guys to look pretty good. We've got Dylan Bowell, who is out of Jeff Johnson's Juggernaut Boxing group there in Florence, Kentucky. They typically always bring guys that are well prepared. They do a lot more Muay Thai typically than MMA. So we haven't seen him a whole lot in MMA. I'll be interested to see how this goes. 27 years old, 5'9", former military. This guy is white belt in BJJ, 1 year of high school junior varsity wrestling. He will be taking on the Eli Wilson, the brother of our buddy Weston Wilson, out of Upstate Karate in Simpsonville, South Carolina. This is his amateur debut. 26 years old, 5'11". I'm sure he's also a white belt in BJJ with high school wrestling as well. And so I'm sure Weston is excited to see his little brother make his debut out there. And the nerves may be there representing a team like Upstate Karate. Coach Thompson in the corner. You better act right. You better perform. Torres.
Yes, this is going to be a really, really interesting matchup. I'm excited to see Weston Wilson, little brother, get in there, man. Eli Wilson, I'm pretty sure he's trained a lot with a lot of those boys upstate. Like you said, you got Ray Thompson. Obviously, you got Stephen Wonderboy. You got a lot of those guys that are like really good at teaching their art. And I really feel like Eli Wilson is one of those guys that's going to be able to walk in and be really solid off the back. I mean, he might be an amateur, but he might not look like one getting in there, from the pedigree of gym that they come from. Obviously, the nerves is going to still be there with it still being a debut. But, man, it's gonna be a really interesting fight. Like you say, what's the guy name from Juggernaut Boxing? I'm so sorry.
Dylan Bowell.
Dylan Bowell. So if Dylan, coming in there, coming in with a Muay Thai background, you could see an early stand-up fight, man. So we might not see a lot of this go to the ground much. So I'm excited to see this one, really, big time.
All right, next up, catch weight 180 pounds. Robert Johnson, a debut out of Team Mock in Lakeland, Florida, taking on Richard Guerrero, 2-0 out of Agoge Combatives, Chattanooga, Tennessee.
All right, so Richard Guerrero, we've seen 2 times already. 2-0 he is. Always an exciting fight. Always looking for the finish. Always a great interview afterward. Looking to go to 3-0 now. He was originally slated to face someone else. He was supposed to face Ratavius Thrasher, is who originally he was scheduled to face. Thrasher had an injury, pulled out. So now Mr. Guerrero, representing Agoge Combatives, by the way, will be facing Robert Johnson, who is a debut fighter out of the same group that Shaka Burney is coming up with. So they're teammates down in Lakeland, Florida. Mr. Richard Johnson, 32 years old, 5'10". And this is his first time getting out there. And so he looks to be lean and athletic guy. That's about all I can really tell you about this one. I'll go to you, Jeff.
Yeah, not a lot of information on Robert Johnson. So new fighter for us, new team. But like you said, what we do know is Richard Guerrero, and kid puts on the show, during the fight and even after the fight. Like I said, great interview, great, well-versed, I should say. When you talk to him, I mean, he knows his stuff. He knows what he's doing in there, and the kid's exciting. So it's kind of, this is a up in the air kind of thing because we just don't know anything about Robert Johnson. So not too much I can say on this one.
That's what makes a lot of these fights fun, though, honestly, is because there's just a mystery with everyone. Who knows what you're going to get. What we got next, Justin?
Yeah. All right, next up, we have the heavyweights, 265 pounds, Hunter Campbell, a debut. He's independent out of Nashville, Tennessee, taking on the Black Cowboy, Julian Goins, 1-1. He's independent out of Knoxville, Tennessee.
So this wasn't done consciously, but y'all see where we go with this. So we got Julian Goins, the Black Cowboy. He works there at the Cotton Eye Joe, one of the security personnel there. 6'4", 26 years old, 1-1. Got his first win with a big knockout real fast over a guy that ended up being pretty tough, a guy that went like 3 rounds with the Cameron Gonder afterward. But then his second time, maybe stepped up a little too fast, too soon, went for the title against CJ Baker and ended up dropping that one to him after he kind of leveled up a little quick there. So now he's going to be facing Hunter, the War Chief Campbell, 21 years old, 6'2", representing the Great Sioux Nation of South Dakota. I'll let you guys draw this one yourself, but I think it's going to be fun. Torres, I'll go to you for the big guys.
Oh, man, I love that. The Great Sioux Nation of North Dakota.
And the Black Cowboy.
And the Black
Cowboys and Indians, baby.
This is going to be, Cowboys. Man, but it's funny because, this all over the place. But I'm going with Julian Goins. You got the Black Cowboy, man.
Yeah.
Hey, look, he got some power in those hands, man. That brother hits hard. I felt like if he could have kept that fight on the feet with CJ, he probably could have had a potential. I mean, he could have potentially been in danger a little bit. CJ came in that fight with his wrestling, but man, Hunter Campbell, coming in. He's young, 6'2", big boy. Them North Dakota boys ain't small, man. I've seen some of them at Dakota football. They be having some big boys on there. So I don't know what his background is, but I do.
Taekwondo.
Really?
Taekwondo.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
This gonna be. You got these 2 big boys taking up the cage, so it's gonna be a fun fight, man. But I'm gonna lean a little bit to the Black Cowboy. But this should be good.
This is going to be one where our cage is going to get bowed, Jeff.
Ah, shit.
All right.
I'll go back in the Might not go back in the trailer as easy this time.
Yeah.
All right, next up we go back to a tie fight. Jake Phillips. So this is a 145-pound featherweight tie fight. 3 2-minute rounds. Jake Phillips, 4-3 out of highest stand in Dalton, Georgia, taking on Joseph Hishma, 2-1 out of Shield Systems in Knoxville, Tennessee.
Now, for the record, the Pick 6 game on Action 24/7 started with the Richard Guerrero fight from two ago. So, Greg, when we finish up, I want to let you give your full Pick 6. Okay, okay, we're back to what we're actually talking about right now. This is higher up on the card because it's going to be fire. It's going to be really good. Two good solid teams. Joseph Hishma was mentioned by Jeff earlier today. 2-1 out of Shield Systems. We've always been very impressed by him. Very tough guy, and only comes forward, man. Just very solid. Takes on Jake Phillips, a young buck out of Dalton, North Georgia High stand. He's already had several fights, 3-3 now. But a tall, rangy kid. Both these guys are youngsters, and two solid teams going at it. This is a fight that I wouldn't be surprised if we go all 3 rounds, but it's an exciting 3 rounds. We're going to go around the horn on this one and the last 4 here. We'll start with you, Torres.
Oh, yeah. This is going to be a really interesting fight, man. You got 2 guys, highest in Shield System, 2 gyms. We're really known pedigree. Man, Shield Systems, I could say, have probably like the better of the striking, but Higheston has the better of the wrestling and the grappling aspect. So it's going to be a really interesting fight. Then you got 2 guys that are experienced. But I'm gonna lean a little bit to the wrestling side, man. I just feel like the grappling on what's his name again? I'm so sorry.
Hishma and Phillips, but this is a Muay Thai fight.
Oh, Muay Thai. Muay fight. Muay Thai. Oh, well. MMA. Switch it. I'm towards the Shield System side in this one, man. This should be a really entertaining fight from start to finish.
Jeff.
Yeah, the fact that this is a tie fight, and like I said, I've been a big fan of Hishma. As young Mr. Brivin Sullivan would say, I'm a nut sniffer for Hishma. I just think this being a tie fight, I would lean towards Hishma, but regardless of highest stand being, mainly kind of your grapplers and stuff, those are still tough dudes, man. So this actually could be a really, really good fight.
All right, Greg, round us out here.
Greg.
I'm trying to get it to unmute, piece of shit. All right, sorry guys. Judge Hishma 2-1 Shield Systems. I know Jake Phillips is a tough cookie coming out of a high stand down there. I think you'll see all 3 rounds. Regardless is let's see. Yeah, I think you'll see all 3 rounds. Regardless, I don't know who wins this one, but I will stir the pot and I'll lean. I don't know, man. I like Hishma too, but Jake Phillips has been. I'll lean towards Jake Phillips right now. That may change in between now and when I make my final 6 picks, but hell, I gotta look at that. That's a tight one. You can't pick all 6 of these, right? Shit, they know what the fuck they're doing. Ain't nobody getting a free $250 bet. Sorry, guys.
All right. Next up, we have light heavyweights, 205 pounds. Josh Schlessler, debut independent out of Maryville, Tennessee, taking on Tristan Scarborough, 3-2 out of Hobbs Jackson Wink, Concord, North Carolina.
So we know Tristan Scarborough well. Of course, this will be his first fight with Hobbs Jackson Wink since he picked up that gym backing there, and I think that's going to go a long way for him. He was already just a very tough, durable guy. Gone to all the rounds with Colin Robinson, got to the 3rd round with Torres. I mean, he's had a very tough go as far as his last couple of fights, but don't let that fool you. He is very talented, big, athletic guy, and takes this shit seriously. and he's going to be, like I said, his first outing, if you will, with Hobbs Jackson Wink. So I'm sure he's going to want to, do right by his new team. Josh Schlessler, on the other hand, is a kind of a late replacement. Originally, it was to be Tristan Scarborough against Blake Carroll from Independent MMA and Fitness. Blake Carroll pulled out, couldn't get close to the weight in time. So now Josh Schlessler, 29 years old, 6 foot tall, independent out of Maryville. He is got a background in Muay Thai and Taekwondo. He's a transplant from Florida. He actually trained at American Top Team proper down in Coconut Creek for a few years. But this will be his now that he's moved up to Maryville, he hasn't been here that long and does not have an established gym. He's my buddy Lee's work friend, actually. So that's who kind of referred him over to us. So hey, he's taking a huge challenge in his first fight ever, taking on Tristan Scarborough. We'll go around the horn in reverse this time, Greg.
Yeah, you just mentioned it yourself. Schlessler taking on. Tristan Scarborough has got 5 fights, five experiences in the cage, and I mean, let's be honest, Tristan Scarborough is not your average Valor. I'm sorry, not Valor, but Aries fight roster now. But he was fighting on Valor, so that's where we've seen him. And he went 3 rounds with Torres. Dude is the 3-2 record right there is suspect to say the least. So for Josh to step up as a debut and fight him, I got to lean towards Tristan because that's what I know. But I hope that Josh comes up, as an independent in Maryville. And I hope he can find him a home somewhere. I just hope he has a good showing against Tristan. But shout out to him for stepping up to fight Tristan. On notice right here for the featured event.
Jeff.
Yeah, first I want to say shout out to Alex Schlessler. I'm guessing this may be Daddy Schlessler, but he has been super active on the Aries Facebook page since his son's been put on this card. So let's give him a big shout out because he is engaging, commenting, liking.
Love it.
He is big time on the Facebook page right now. So the story for me is, like you said, is seeing a Hobbs Jackson Wink version of Tristan Scarborough. Just interested to see what's happened to his game, how it's evolved, what kind of gains he's made since going over there. It's always interesting to see. We've seen it in the past with Alex Riggs going to Shields, just guys changing camps and finding that perfect fit for them. And then you just kind of see their skill level just elevate. And so that's kind of the story behind the fight for this one, for me. But, I don't know. We'll see. Like I said, I'm enjoying he might be an independent, but I'm enjoying Schlessler's fan base that's come along with him and, really been active on the Facebook page. And hopefully he brings a good crowd. We already know I think they've got a table, or Lee's bought a table for the Schlessler crowd.
He'll at the very least have a rowdy Lee in the house.
Yeah, to sit around him. So hell, anytime those guys from up there come down, it gets kind of wild. So it's this should be pretty fun, especially with Lee not fighting and being able to consume.
Right.
It could get pretty rowdy behind the cage side area.
And at the cage side area, even.
And at the cage side area.
All right, Torres, wrap us up on this one.
Yeah, man, I'm excited for Tristan Scarborough and Josh Schlessler. How old is Josh again?
29.
29. Okay, well, it's gonna be an interesting fight. I am excited to see Tristan, the Tristan version from Jackson Hobbs and Wink, and I think he's gonna come out phenomenal, looking good. I just think, Tristan already had the striking aspect. He just had to work a little bit more dealing with the ground game and the grappling aspect. And I feel like he's worked on that because Jackson Hobbs and Wink has some really good jiu-jitsu guys there as well. So I'm sure that Tristan is a refined, all-around fighter now. So anywhere the fight can go, he is ready. So I'm excited to see him come back into this fight and see what he brings to the table.
For your co-main event, featherweight's 145 pounds. Dustin Garrett, 4-4 out of DC Combat, Murphy, North Carolina, taking on Trip Hallman, 3-1, independent out of Knoxville, Tennessee.
All right, this is a fun one here. It should be a fun little fight. Featherweight, first time dropping to featherweight for Trip Hallman. He has been fighting at 155. Dropped his first fight ever in his debut to Chris Bond, who had a whole lot more experience than him. But then he's ran off 3 fights in a row. This guy's on a 3-fight winning streak, kind of low key. Always brings a nice crowd with him. They're always rowdy and into it. Trip has been doing most of his work, it seems like, on the ground. Kind of wrestling, getting top control, going for ground and pound. He's going to have a guy that's very good in the scrambles here, Dustin Garrett, who also kind of does his work on the ground and has that good motor. So, I think that the size of Trip Hallman at 45 should be good. The question is going to be, can he keep up with the pace, I think, of Dustin Garrett? Dustin Garrett coming in at 4-4 out of DC Combat, Murphy, North Carolina. Always, he's another one of these guys with a strength of schedule that is, his record's 50-50, but then you look at who he's fought and you're like, yeah, he's fought tough guys. He's already kind of been through the ringer there. So this is a fun one. Jeff, I'll let you start this time.
Yeah, man, this is going to be a fun one. Trip Hallman is another guy that when he comes to the Joe, man, he fucking sells that thing out. So I'm expecting a rowdy crowd. God bless. What you got to think now, Tim? You're going to have a Lee and his crew in the VIP area. God knows how many Trip Hallman fans are going to be in that VIP area. This and
the ring girl competition going on.
Right.
Yeah, this could be wild, man. But Dustin Garrett is so freaking tough, man. At 4-5, 8 amateur fights, the record just doesn't show. I guess it does kind of show the toughness of the, those 4 losses. They're not against scrubs. They're not against bums, man. He fights so tough anytime you ask him to. And, it doesn't matter if it's a tough opponent, a short notice opponent. He just gets in there and he grinds every time. This will absolutely be Trip Hallman's toughest outing, his toughest test. So it'll be interesting to see if he passed the test. But this is also one of those, though, and you hate – both guys are such good guys. You hate seeing someone walk away with an L on this one. I wish there was a way they could both win, but I haven't figured that out yet. Excited, man. Excited for this one. 3-1, 4-4. This is going to be this one's going to be fun. This one's going to be wild.
Great.
Every time Dustin Garrett comes up, I always tend to favor him because I know he's a wrestler. I always pick him in every fight, but he's let me down a few times. Now, and Trip Hallman, like we said, he stepped out there, big size difference against Chris Bond. But Chris Bond also submitted him, if I remember correctly, did he?
Yeah, triangle, I can recall.
And we don't know Chris Bond as a ground guy, really. We know him as a stand-up guy. So if he's able to submit Trip Hallman, I could think that Dustin Garrett may kind of have some good advantage on the ground. But again, I'm always going with Dustin Garrett. I don't know if he could pull this one out. I think that the cut down to 45 may work better in Trip Hallman's game plan. He may be able to go the duration of 3 3-minute rounds with Garrett. So I'm going to go out on a limb there, and I'm going to fade Garrett for the first time ever and take Trip Hallman.
Torres, wrap us up on this one.
Yeah, this is going to be a really fun matchup. Dustin Garrett, like you've already said, Tim, he has went through a lot of tough guys. Daquan Sutton. Did he fight Emilio?
He fought Emilio, Daquan Sutton, Anthony Cochran. He's fought tough guys. Yeah.
Jeez, come on, man. So he don't fought a lot of tough guys, and Trip is going to be another guy right there, on that list, and it's going to be a tough outing for Dustin. But if Dustin can find a way to get it to the ground, it's going to be really interesting to see what he can do there. I think this is going to be like a 3-round war. It's hard for me to see somebody really get finished early, but I would probably have to lean towards Trip probably by a decision.
All right, the main event for the welterweight title for Aries 170, Jordan Lewis, 3-1 out of High Stand in Dalton, Georgia, taking on Dustin Bailey, 2-0 out of Team Manning in Radford, Virginia.
Yeah, so we're going 5 rounds potentially here for that strap right there. Jeff's holding up. Man, both these guys are tough. Jordan Lewis, the youngest but the biggest of the 3 Lewis brothers out of Dalton, High Stand group. Great wrestling, tough as shit, comes forward only, has a great chin on him, a lot of grit, a lot of that kind of innate warrior in him that I've seen him getting his ass kicked and still come forward and figure out a way to survive through the fight against very tough guys. And just very, very talented all around, very strong. And then, of course, his opponent, Dustin Bailey, has not had any losses yet. Dustin Bailey coming out of that Team Manning group up in Virginia, who come down here and just run roughshod in the grappling, man. Those guys are very good grapplers. Dustin Bailey has gotten quick submissions in all of his fights. And so that's where the difference is here is I think Dustin has just like really kind of ran in there and ran through everybody that's been put in front of him. And you can't fault him for doing that. He's looked great doing it. But he has yet to be pushed, past that comfort zone just yet into that second round, third round, fourth, fifth round. And we don't know what will happen now. If that were to happen, or does he go out here and he just zip through Jordan Lewis like he zipped through everyone else? It's going to be tough to do. But Bailey is very, very talented. He's also got a rough and rowdy boxing tournament wins under his belt up there. So he can strike and grapple, but he's really mainly showed his grappling thus far. So that is a great fight. I really, it's kind of, I think the longer it goes, it starts to skew towards Lewis. But in those early goings, Bailey is very aggressive in hunting for finishes. We'll go around the horn one last time, and this will be our last fight, guys. I'm going to let you start, Torres.
Yeah, man. I'm excited for this fight, man. Dustin Bailey, Jordan Lewis. No better way to have it for a 170 title fight, man. Jordan Lewis, as you've already stated, man, he's a monster, man. He just keeps coming forward. I remember his last fight against Justin Abner, and man, I mean, you talking about a fight. I mean, he just both were landing great shots, but Jordan Lewis just kept walking forward. Man, like it's exciting to watch, and he's had some really other good fights as well. I mean, one against Damian Douglas, and just found a way to keep going. Finished that fight with a teep kick, pushing him all the way back to the cage. Jordan Lewis is going to be phenomenal. He has the wrestling, but it looked like he don't like to use it. He'd rather use them fists of his. But Dustin Bailey, man, I've watched a lot of his fights as well. He's 3-0, all first round finishes.
All first round finishes, yeah.
He just takes these guys down and submit them instantly. It doesn't even be a thought into it. So it's gonna be interesting to see, can he do that to Jordan Lewis? And Jordan is scrappy, man. He's not a guy you can just take down at will and just submit. So I'm excited for this one, man. I really don't know. I just feel like Dustin probably could seep something in. We're probably going to see more of Dustin striking. So, that's unknown to us right now, how much striking Dustin really has. I think that we're going to see some of that into this fight. So depending on how well Dustin striking is on the feet, that can really dictate how this fight goes a little bit. Because, I feel like Dustin got the slight advantage on the ground if it goes there. But I feel like Jordan has the better chance and the advantage of getting it to the ground. So It's a good little mismatch on certain things, a little game of chess. But I'm excited to see. It's going to be a good fight.
Jeff.
Yeah, this is absolutely the cliche unstoppable force versus the immovable object. If you really look at it, like you said, Dustin comes forward. He's always pressing. He is our unstoppable force, but Jordan Lewis has for a while now been that immovable object. You can't get through him. You can't move him. He's always just planting his feet and standing there, and it's going to be a chess match, but not a typical chess match. It's just going to be who can catch the other one perfectly, and I think this one's going to be over. I don't see this one going the distance. I think somebody's getting caught in this last one. Don't know who. I don't have a prediction. I just think somebody's getting their chin touched on this one. And I don't think this main event is going to see the third round. I don't think it's going to see the end of the third round, I should say.
Greg, wrap us up here on your final pick of the night, and then we'll do your pick 6 for the Action 24/7.
I mean, from what you guys are saying, Dustin Bailey is a human wrecking ball coming through to take finishes right here. However, Jordan Lewis has one of the strongest, toughest damn chins that I've seen in MMA, period. I've seen that kid's mouthpiece fly out of his mouth 24 times. I don't even know if it was his mouthpiece, but I've seen it fly out. And I mean, they may even picked up a different one and put it back in at that Saudi Daisy fight he had about 2 or 3 years ago. I don't know. Like Torres said, he may slip in a submission or something, but I don't. I mean, Jordan Lewis's grappling game is, fairly decent. It's a little polished up. I don't know. I think that Jordan Lewis, we may show that I guess grit, if you will, that Tim spoke about. He has that something you can't fucking teach. You can't teach. That's not a skill. That's not a talent. That's just something you're born with. And Jordan Lewis has got it. We'll see if Dustin Bailey has it here too. If he can take a shot, I got to lean a little bit towards Jordan Lewis. I'm stirring the pot here. I hope Dustin Bailey makes me eat a little bit of crow. But with that being said, I'll go to these final 6. Richard Guerrero and Robert Johnson, hell of a matchup there. Richard's 2-0, but I'm pretty sure Robert Johnson's going to come here a little polished up. So that one right there is a straight pick him, in my opinion. I got to go with what I know, and Richard Guerrero's 2-0. I got to pick him. Julian Goins, the Black Cowboy, versus the Native American Indian Hunter Campbell. Did you say he was from North Dakota?
He represents the great Sioux Nation of South Dakota.
You laugh at Penny. That's Cowboy and Indians, man. That's a big old black Indian right there, man. A big old black cowboy. I'm sorry.
We're just shooting off every which alarm we can to offend as many people as we can.
We'll ever have tonight. Are y'all ready?
Oh,
This is it. So, anyways, with that being said, I mean, Julian Cohen's a big guy. He's an animal, man. I got to pick him, and I mean, he will be in the runnings for a title shot eventually one day here at Aries. I got to go with him on that pick. And I told y'all Hishman and Jake Phillips, man. I don't know who I picked a minute ago, but here you go. Heads, I'm going to go with Jake. Tails, I'm going to go with Hishman. 2 out of 3. Hold on.
What?
All right, Jake Phillips gets heads, man. I don't know. Nobody's picking all 6 right, so y'all said don't matter. I'm going to go with Tristan Scarball on my next pick. Schlessler, we'll see him coming. Again, I love the fan base shouting out there. Dustin Garrett, Trip Hallman. I think I'm wrong, and I think I'm wrong, but I'm going with Trip Hallman here over Garrett. And then Jordan Lewis for that I guess the picks panel's upset the way that me and Torres we're gonna have a disagreement there, and I got to go with Lewis.
All right, you can do your own pick 6 at games.action247.com. Here's the bout sheet, guys. Check it out. There is all the fights that you're going to see from the world famous Cotton Eye Joe. This Friday night, November the 5th, it's Aries Fight Series 2. You get your tickets at fightertix.com. Catch the pay-per-view at combatcast.tv. We are hopeful that you guys join us again next week. Thank you for sticking in there with us again. We will have our recap show next week, and then we'll kind of settle into a little bit of a cruise towards the underground here and start really hyping that show up November the 20th. Remember, give us a like, give us a subscribe. That's what's the best thing you can do for us. Give us a like and subscribe. Let's help grow the channel, guys. And we'll be going, we'll be posting our weigh-ins here on the YouTube channel as well. Maybe live, maybe not, but we'll have the footage up here for you guys after the weigh-ins Thursday night. For my co-host, Justin Watson, Dirk Dagler, Jeff Hobbs, Torres Fitty, I'm Tim Lloyd. For another edition of The 0 Hour. Thanks for watching, guys. We'll see y'all next week.